Whoa. Welcome, guys. We are fixing our camera as we speak. We're in a virtual location
There
today.
we go. Welcome, guys. We are in a San Diego mansion
Yeah.
hosting a 50-person mastermind.
Yes.
And
Incredible
everyone
crew here.
to the left of us right now is eating, and we just finished a couple segments. How do you feel?
I feel good, man. How about you?
I feel incredible.
This has been a impactful morning. Morning one of the mastermind. Everyone comes together and everyone is connecting. And, I used to go to events and I used to go to places and, get a level of a recharge, but always felt like I was missing my people, and here we are having been so blessed to curate a group of incredible hearted entrepreneurs who just are serving each other. There's no ego, there's no negativity, there's no drama. It's just everyone is here to serve. And wow, it's powerful.
3 years ago, me and Andrew hosted our very first mastermind with 7 people.
7 people. Some of you guys may have been there.
Today, we are hosting our 50-person High Level Mastermind. And our team is a size of 7 that we have flown out here at the crew at the house.
Yeah.
And it's just such an impactful way to start this live. This pod is about thinking bigger.
Yeah.
Because when we had 7 people, we knew that 50 people were coming.
Yeah.
We knew that 100 people were coming soon.
Except we served the 7 at the highest possible level we knew how as well.
As if there was 50.
Or 500.
And this is a piece that I want you guys to really hone in, that if you post a piece of content, you get 20 views, that's 20 people in a room.
Right.
But what if you imagined your piece of content could hit 1,000, 1,000,000 people? How much different would you talk about the content? How much different would your energy be when you're posting that content?
Yeah.
Everything you do, when you just have the mentality of thinking bigger, hey, what if 1,000,000 people saw this? What if I had 1,000-person mastermind? How would you then be?
So I think it's easy to get caught up in where we are more than where we're headed.
Yep.
And so many people go through life that way. I'm just here. I'm just doing this thing. And we always tend, I'm just about myself, to put just in front of whatever it is we're doing because it's us and we know us. Except what you're doing may be somebody else's dream or superpower. I'm living the life I used to pray for.
Yep.
And I say that sitting here out of incredible gratitude because I started having that perspective years ago. I said, wait a second, I'm now dealing with the problems that I used to pray to have.
Yep.
And so rather than being frustrated that the problem is bigger, that the challenge I'm faced with is overwhelming, I go, thank you, God, because I know I couldn't have got to that level without getting that rep in.
Absolutely. So today's topic is all about thinking bigger. How do I start to think bigger? But also, how do I keep those commitments when I'm thinking bigger?
That's good.
Because in order to really execute and win at the highest level, you have to keep commitments to yourself. You have to make bigger commitments.
Yeah.
But let's talk about what it means to actually keep those. Because we're on day 45?
I believe so.
Day 45 of doing this every day, Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
And today, even though we're hosting this mastermind, we're supposed to be eating lunch. We committed to this.
Yeah.
So we're here and we make sure to serve as if 1,000,000 of you guys are watching, even though we know this is the very beginning of this show.
Right.
Let's talk about keeping your commitments.
Something that I had a challenge doing years ago when we met was if I told someone something, I would absolutely do my dead level best to always keep that because I didn't want to be a liar, right? It's like I said, I'm going to do it. But I did not take my commitments to myself that seriously at that time. And when you said to me, like, Andrew, I trust you as the person you are, but like, can you trust yourself? Well, of course I trust myself. I'm an integrous person. And then you dug down in and made me realize, wait a second, I don't trust myself because I would tell myself I'm going to get up at 5 and then I would get up at 6 or 7. I would tell myself I'm going to go to the gym and then I'm like, darn, I don't know what I do when I get there. And so when I started taking my commitments to myself as seriously as I do to someone else, oh my goodness, everything changed. When we made this commitment, we're going to show up every single day, even when it's inconvenient. We knew we was going to be out of the country sometimes. We knew we was going to be. Said, we'll figure it out. Maybe we record ahead sometime. We do something. We said, right now, we have a camera. We're in a mansion. We're just going to show up live and hang out. And our incredible mastermind is over there hanging out with each other. Why? Because we made a commitment. And I want you to remember this. If you're taking notes, write it down. Say yes now, then figure out how. People of wealth all the time say yes to something way bigger than they know how they're going to do. But because they can trust their self, they have the data to prove every time they make a commitment to this self. I said I'm going to get up at 5. I'm going to wake up at 5. I said I'm going to go for a walk this morning. Maybe it's shorter than I thought it was going to be when I made the commitment, but I still went for a walk. And so if we can prove that to ourselves, now when we make a big commitment, we know we're going to keep it.
But people don't realize sometimes how much of a detriment it is when you say, I'm going to wake up at 6 and then it's 6:45.
Wow.
And you're like, oh, I did it again. Yeah. Right? But they don't realize what's really happening subconsciously.
Validating your distrust for ourselves.
Constantly.
Wow.
Constantly telling yourself that, hey, I don't trust you. Hey, I don't keep up with my commitments. Hey, this isn't, what you say isn't true.
Yeah.
So many times people destroy their businesses because they lost trust in themselves. And other people don't trust people who don't trust themselves.
Yeah.
You see it so often where you'll talk to someone and you just know something's off about them.
Yeah.
And it's because they do those things. They don't trust themselves.
That's good. And I think for everyone listening, if there's a takeaway to have out of this first piece of today, it is just to ask yourself, when I make myself a commitment, do I keep it? Because that's level 1 of playing bigger. As you start to play bigger, there'll be bigger challenges. But how do we prove at this level that we currently are that we handle those challenges effectively and efficiently so that we're ready for the next level?
Could we just take a minute, almost not off air because we're still on air, but could we take a minute to just reflect for a second? I want to just do this for you. I just did it while you were speaking.
Yeah.
I sat outside and I looked out there and just realized that, again, when we first did this, when we first did our first mastermind, we had 7 people.
Yeah.
And now there's 7 people in that little corner right there eating some lunch together. And like, do you ever sit back and just realize what has been built?
So I used to didn't, because I thought it was like ego or pride. But I realize now it's not, it's gratitude. Because when we're doing it for what I always term is for good and for God, then it's like, oh my goodness, how blessed we are to get to get the honor of leading a community of incredible, successful entrepreneurs and people who are coming together to serve at the highest level, to make more money, to build more. And so when we remove the ego, and I share this because I think this is so important for leveling up, because you can level up with ego, but then your ego is always up for more hurt. But if we can remove the ego, and yes, to answer your question, I reflect practically daily at some level, and I just say, oh my goodness, thank you, God. Like, in a home that I used to dream of, have an incredible brother I get to work with every single day, have an amazing time doing it, have an incredible team that supports us. And it started by me saying, thank you, God, for a car, even though it was not my dream car. Thank you, God, at the time for a house, even though it was a little house that cost very little money. It was a house. And so I think as we level up our gratitude, we can level up our life.
I think about it sometimes. If you can't thank God for what you currently have, why would he give you more?
Wow, that's a writer downer.
Why would you get blessed with more? And when I first heard that and got that stark realization, that's when everything started to change.
Yeah.
Because I started being grateful for everything. And that's what allowed me to think bigger. Because I said, hey, I'm being grateful for everything I have now. But I'm going to, in my mind, know that I can start serving as if there's 1,000 people at this mastermind. And that's why you'll see, you guys will see when you come to these masterminds, Andrew and I will stress sometimes. But it's because we care so much about every single one of you guys. And we hold ourselves to such a standard where, imagine there was 1,000 people here.
Yeah.
It's not as easy as doing 50 people, but we would show up different.
Yeah.
We would serve knowing it's going to have 1,000 person impact versus 50 person impact.
Wow.
And I think with these 50 people here, they feel that.
Yeah.
right? They feel that 1,000-person impact because we're always thinking bigger. And when you think bigger, your actions move bigger. When your actions move bigger, you execute more. When you execute more of life starts to happen, and God starts blessing you with more because foundationally, you're thanking Him for everything that's happening.
Yeah. Well, dig into that a little bit, Leo. What's the thing that took you, as a young entrepreneur, hustling, going through the things you were a few years ago, to being able, at still a young age, to being so grateful and grounded?
I honestly do. I know you weren't asking for it, but I attribute it so much to you
Hmm.
because, of course, you have a couple years on me and a couple more strains of beard hair than I do. But you are always so grateful. And of
Hmm.
course, you've bought over 500 houses. I had one when I
Yeah.
first met you, and you were so graceful and had so much humility to say, Leo, I'm not looking at you by how many deals you've done.
Yeah.
I'm looking at you by your heart
Yeah.
and you're wanting to serve other people. And I think seeing your gratitude at such a high level shocked my mind so much at being like, oh, rich people
Yeah.
could be nice and they
Wow.
could have so much gratitude. And actually, I enjoyed your story more than I enjoyed the guy with the Bugatti who was flexing his wealth
Mm.
and being an asshole to his wife. And I
Yeah.
was like, hey, which one would I rather be friends with? And it was you every single time. But
Wow.
then we started to see more rich people who did not flaunt their wealth
Yeah.
in a bad way, right? Because flaunting their wealth, it's not about saying, "Oh, here's my car, here's my house, here's all these
Right.
things," right? Because we're at a beautiful mansion right now.
Yeah.
But it's also because we created an experience for people,
Yeah.
and we have so much gratitude towards it. And I believe that when you truly become grateful for the things around you, the
Yeah.
material doesn't really matter anymore.
Mm.
It's just the fact that we're here enjoying. Like, I would love to spend time with my family here,
Yeah.
just as much as I would love to spend time with the mastermind here.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's such a powerful thing, because then it comes from intention and heart. Because like you said, we're sitting in a probably $10 million mansion that we're rented for the weekend with this community, and at the same time, it comes from gratitude, and it comes from that humility, which doesn't mean, by the way, not showing wealth, or doesn't mean that you're not someone who is trying to be different than your personality. Humility, I believe, is perfectly aligned with gratitude.
Yeah, I guess here's how I think about it sometimes. If I was watching this at 17
Yeah.
and we were in a garage,
Yeah.
I'd probably be like, okay,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
But and I know that, and sometimes we do this show for of course my 17-year-old self, your 17-year-old self, and everyone here who's growing, because we have people of all age. We have people 17, we have people 80.
Yeah.
Shout out to all those people. But it's inspiring,
Yeah.
right? It's inspiring when you can see what gratitude can do.
Yeah.
And I know we're kind of veering off the main topic of thinking bigger, but I don't think thinking bigger can happen without gratitude.
Mm.
And it definitely can't happen without keeping your commitments.
Yeah. I think you're exactly right. I remember years ago when I was sleeping in the office and sleeping in a vacant houses that I bought, owner financed, with an air mattress, and just kind of being what would you call that? I guess air mattress surfing. I don't know, but I was in the place of my life where I was grinding and hustling, and sometimes it was stressful, until I said, "Wait a second, if I can truly be grateful, now everything else." Because to think bigger, the higher the levels, the bigger the devils. We talk about that all the time.
Absolutely.
And to be able to be that person who accepts that greatness, or who manages wealth properly, who is a good steward of that wealth, of the finances, of that personal brand, of your whatever it is that you're managing at that time in life, that power, that ability to keep your commitments, all of that's going to stem from the fact, when I was sitting in my office that I slept in, and the rent was $525 a month, I was saying, "Thank you, God, I got an office." Thank you, God, I got food. And so, just understanding that there's no reason to be ashamed of any level that you're at. If it always comes from gratitude, then it doesn't matter the level. You know that you're always rising to a new level. Money can ebb and flow, but relationships can be a lifetime.
Yep.
And that's what people who truly think big are focused on, our relationships. We call it, type it in the chat, relationship capital.
That's a whole episode in and of itself. It's a whole series in and of itself.
Yeah.
So let's keep going. Relationship capital.
So this is relationship capital as you're thinking bigger. The only way we're going to level up, because there's only so much any of us can do as one person, right? To buy a house, we got to have somebody to buy it from. To sell a house, we have to have somebody to sell it to. To borrow private money, we have to have a private lender. Everything you do is going to be the chef's van outside is going off. So if you guys hear a background beeping, that's what it is. And so to go to any new level, there's going to be an interaction with somebody or somebodies who helps bring that success by being the person they are. So just understand that and be okay with that, because now every single day we're just becoming a better manager rather than someone who's stressing that things are not like we want them to be.
I think in moments like this, when there's 40 things going on,
Yeah.
this is when gratitude comes to play.
Yeah.
Thank you, God, for the ability to be here right now. Thank you, God, for the ability to be tested.
Yeah.
Thank you, God, for our patience to be tested. And in these moments, how can we look for gratitude in the craziest moments and also in the hardest moments? When you were air mattress surfing,
Yeah.
the fact that you were able to be grateful for an air mattress, the fact that you were able to be grateful for, how I always think, I have two eyes. I have the ability to breathe. I have a deviated septum, so I can only breathe through one nose, but I'm so grateful that it's not two of my nostrils that are clogged.
Yeah.
Only one of them. And that type of gratitude is what I believe gets people to the next level, to the highest level.
I would agree with that. And somewhere, of course, we hold people accountable to a high standard. We hold ourselves accountable to a high standard. People of wealth expect greatness. And so the expecting greatness, rather than coming from a place of anger, it comes from a place of wanting to be surrounded only by the best, right? And so to think bigger means to expect greatness from ourselves and to up our expectation of others. You know, those around us, our community. We ask everyone that has come into our community and been interviewed, coming in, are you willing to be accountable? Are you willing to be coachable? Why? Because if someone is not willing to be held accountable or be coachable to the commitments they make, then we know that they're going to stagnate at a certain level.
Right.
Because accountability and being willing to accept that there's new information we need to receive from people that we know is how we level up.
So before we wrap up, some people are saying, Leo, Andrew, that makes sense.
Yeah.
The gratitude makes sense, but I am grateful.
Yeah.
I am counting my blessings. And let's just say you are counting your blessings. Now what? Right? How do we actually execute in a level where we start to gain more wealth?
Yeah.
We start to gain more relationship capital. More people around us start to say, hey, I like what you're doing. How can I help?
Yeah.
Right? And you help them. They help you, relationship capital. Now, when it comes to keeping your commitments, it's really just execution.
Yeah.
It's getting things done. But I was telling one of our students the other day who initially was struggling, and I said, here's what I want you to do. If you're going to put out calls for an hour, or if you're going to make calls tomorrow, I want you to set out 16 minutes of calls, not an hour of calls. Because if you set out an hour of calls, you're going to do 16 minutes anyways.
Yeah.
You might as well set a commitment to do 16 minutes
Wow.
and finish 16 minutes so you can start building that trust in yourself.
Small commitments leads to large commitments.
So then when you do 16, you say, hey, I actually did 22. Perfect. Set 25 next time. Challenge yourself. But don't set an hour if you're only going to do 16, because then all of a sudden, all the time on your calendar is going to get wasted anyways.
It's like, why try? I'm not going to do it anyway.
100%. So that's the action I want you guys to walk away with is, number one, sit back for 3 to 10 minutes and just start counting every blessing that you have. I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for this beautiful
Grateful
place.
for you too, brother.
Thank you. I'm grateful for you guys. I'm grateful for our videographer that was able to give us these cute little mics since I forgot our whole setup. I'm grateful for the fact that I can breathe and that we have water.
Yeah.
So take 3 to 5 minutes to count all the blessings. And then I want you to set a small commitment to yourself that you know you can crush. What are some of those small commitments?
Small commitments. If you're a business owner, make 5 sales calls. Small commitment. Talk to 5 people. Small commitment. Go to 1 networking event in the next 10 days. Small commitment. Message 10 people on social media and ask to connect with them. So just something that increases flow, because activity and flow will always move you toward your goal if you know where you're trying to head.
This has been a very fun topic. Me and Andrew are going to go back to this mastermind and serve them. And I'm just so happy to be here. I'm so happy that we get to host this live show and podcast with you guys and take away these nuggets. Our only ask is that you share it out to a friend. You share it out to another entrepreneur in your sphere that know they need this, right? If you've gotten value from this through a new idea, a new friend, some guidance, an absolute beautiful strategy to run the play on, share this with someone. This show is free. This pod is free. We just ask that you share it with someone else.
Thank you for being here. We're going to be here again tomorrow. Same place, same time. We'll see you then. Bye for now.
Deuces. Bye, guys.